Here we are again with the Hump Day edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, our daily deep dive into the weather for the Mahoning and Shenango valleys. Let's talk about a lot of interesting stuff this evening. Now, in the short term, the weather isn't terribly interesting. Sunny, warm pattern we're in the middle of, but we're going to show you what's going on in the longer range, and also, of course, the autumnal equinoxes tomorrow. And that occurs at exactly 10:21 Eastern Time, the official beginning of astronomical fall. You may be aware that as meteorologists, we look at things a little differently. We have meteorological seasons, and the reason why we do that, one of the reasons is for tidy record keeping. The equinoxes and the solstices don't always fall on exactly the same dates. And so for record keeping's sake, we define fall as September, October, and November, always beginning and ending on the same dates. But nonetheless, astronomically speaking, fall begins tomorrow, and this is the date and the exact time in which the sun's rays are, the most direct rays are right over the equator. So we go deeper into the fall season, those rays will be aimed more and more towards the southern hemisphere, meaning the sun gets weaker in the northern hemisphere, and that's why it turns cooler in the fall and heading into the winter season. Well, what's going to happen this fall? Again, a reminder, we'll do the winter forecast around Halloween, late October, early November. This will cover from now until roughly December 21st. We are expecting a milder than average season, a continuation, really, of the pattern we've been in for really most of the year. 2016 has been a very warm year in our region, and we expect that to continue into the fall season. As far as rainfall goes, kind of a continuation of the pattern over the last couple of months. We were running some pretty big rainfall deficits early to midsummer. We've done better over the last 6 weeks. I think the fall season will kind of fall in the general area that we've been in for the last 5 or 6 weeks, and that it hasn't been tremendously wet, hasn't been tremendously dry, been kind of hovering near average. The fall will be kind of like that, maybe a little drier than average. Now, this is a little bit interesting. There's a chance, and this is kind of hard to predict, but there's a chance that the foliage will be a little bit duller, less vibrant than perhaps a typical fall, and the reason for that is the relative lack of rain that we've had over the last 5 months or so. Even though we've done better in the last month to 6 weeks, we're still, in most places, running a deficit dating back to the late spring. And that can oftentimes lead to a duller foliage season. All right, some more signs of fall. Of course, fall begins tomorrow, and then on October 3rd, the sunset will be at 7 o'clock. And on November 6th, that's the big change. That's when daylight saving time ends. It'll start getting dark at 5 o'clock, and all of a sudden it feels a lot more like we're heading into the winter season. And that's only, a little more than 6 weeks away. All right, we're also, of course, losing daylight at a rapid pace. We're losing daylight right now at the most rapid pace of the whole year, losing about 2 minutes and 42 seconds of daylight per day. By the end of the month, we'll be, of course, under 12 hours at 11 hours and 46 minutes, heading down to bottoming out on the first day of winter with daylight only 9 hours and 12 minutes. So we've still got, about 2.5 hours of daylight or so left to lose. All right, 82 the high today. It actually underachieved a little today. We had 85 in our forecast. Stopped at 82 today. I was trying to figure out why. Nothing really changed in the air mass since yesterday. The wind direction didn't have much to do with it. It just seems like the airport struggled today. Downtown we had 86 here at the station. Some places got up to 85, 86, but the airport, for whatever reason, decided to struggle today. All right, we had a couple of nice passes of the space station this morning, an even better one tomorrow morning. Now, this will be for early risers. This begins at 6:01 a.m. This will be much brighter and much higher in the sky than the passes that we had earlier on this morning. Starting at 6:01, visible in the sky for about 6 minutes, starting west-northwest, disappearing in the southeast sky. So be sure and check that out if you're up and at 'em early tomorrow morning. All right, tomorrow otherwise is going to be just like today, just warmer. I think we will do better tomorrow as far as the temperature goes. We should reach 85, 86 on average. And then finally some changes as we head towards Friday and the weekend. Now this front will not be able to squeeze out any moisture aside from maybe a stray shower overnight Friday night. Don't think there's any problems for high school football Friday evening. Now there can be some high clouds trying to come in with this front as early as Friday afternoon, but again, they'll be pretty unproductive. So we head into the weekend, that front slips south. We've removed the chance for a stray shower from Saturday's forecast. Looks like a good-looking day. Temperature is not quite back to average, which is 70. We'll be in the mid-70s, but it'll be more comfortable than most of the work week as we kick off the weekend. All right, as we go to the longer range, our forecast over the last couple of days for early next week has been based largely on the idea that it would be kind of cool to seasonable, upper 60s to around 70. And that was based on the idea that a trough of low pressure would kind of pivot through and usher in some pretty cool or comfortable air. Now it looks like what the modeling wants to do is stall that trough or closed area of low pressure over the middle of the country. The models, though, aren't in exactly in great agreement, though, on the speed in which the pattern becomes dislodged again and how that impacts our weather. What we'll have next week is a pretty blocked up pattern. You're going to have a big ridge out west. Here's our big trough in the middle, ridge east coast, and everything's going to kind of get gummed up. The blue line's the European model, the orange line's the GFS, and the modeling just sort of isn't on the same page with the exact placement of this upper level low, and that has some important implications on our forecast, both in terms of chances of rain and temperatures for next week. What we've done effectively, though, with this thing stalled somewhere in the middle of the country, is jacked up our forecast high temperatures early next week. So no more 69, 70 degrees in the forecast. We're going to be well into the 70s, it looks like, for at least the first half of next week, with this upper low getting stuck somewhere either up here or over here. Either way, it looks warm here. Now, how fast does it come east? That'll have a big impact on when showers become a little more likely here. And we've got small chances of showers as early as Tuesday and Wednesday, but even that, hard to say if we get any rain middle of the week. Just depends on the speed of that thing. And again, things are looking warmer, at least during the first half of next week. Still looks like as that upper low finally comes east, we will cool down for a few days at the end of next week. But then, as we've been talking about, I think October is going to start pretty warm. Check out the Climate Prediction Center 8 to 14 day outlook, I should say, covering the last 2 days of September and the first 5 days of October. Strong signal for warmth in the eastern U.S. So the never-ending summer looks to continue. All right, I'm up over 7 minutes. I'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. Be sure and check out my forecast tonight on 21 News at 11. I'll see you then.